welcome to Cloud Stories, a podcast exploring the accounting and business apps community. Today I'm bringing you the second interview as part of a series of interviews I conducted at the Accountants Bootcamp. If you enjoy this episode, I encourage you to listen to the last episode and subscribe to the podcast to hear the next two interviews. The Reboot Camp event brought together speakers and attendees from the original Accountants Bootcamp in the 90s, including industry legend Paul Dunn. The three-day workshop led by Dunn and Ainsley Damery, CEO of Clarity, focused on delivering repeatable, scalable services that benefit both the firm and the client. Many attendees use Clarity's software platform to assist in delivering these services. In case you missed it, Ainsley Damery joined me on a previous episode of Cloud Stories in May 21, when we discussed how to double your client's profits in 5 easy steps. Before I pass over to the interview, to stay up to date with the latest trends and developments in the accounting app space, I encourage you to join the Xero Mastermind Facebook group, subscribe to the Accounting Apps newsletter, and subscribe to the Cloud Stories podcast. Also connect with me, Heather Smith, on LinkedIn. For today's episode, I'm joined by Paul Miller, Managing Director of Cornish Accounting Solutions. As you shall hear in the episode, I first met Paul when he visited Xerocon in 2014, and I've keenly watched his journey since then. Hello, Paul Miller. Welcome to the Cloud Stories podcast. I'm really excited to have you here. Can I start by asking you who you are and what you do?
First of all, I'd like to thank you for inviting me to be on the podcast. And my name is Paul Miller from Cornish Accounting, based in Bodmin in Cornwall in the UK.
I cannot believe that I'm actually getting to see you here. We're actually at Sanctuary Cove, and I turned up to the beach, and I found you down on the beach. That was quite a surprise. It's a big adventure to come out here to the Gold Coast.
I think it is a big adventure, but I think in everything in life and in business, we need to look at the payback, look at the cost plus the benefits. And I think the benefits of being here with Paul Dunn at the Accountants Bootcamp will actually be immense, and will be the growth and the increase in fees will be exponential.
Fantastic. So we have actually known one another for, I think we worked it out, it was about since 2014. Was that right, when you came out for Xerocon?
Yeah, so basically in 2014, to celebrate my 21st anniversary in business, we took 5 of the team to Xerocon in Sydney, closed the office for a week, which was a little bit frightening, put on our emails that if there's anything urgent you need to contact us, and while we're away we had 2 urgent emails that we had to deal with. So it shows that we can take time away from our business, things will wait, we are indispensable to a certain extent, and I think it's just to set the parameters.
I have that vision of you and your team arriving. I think it was at Sydney Xerocon, and you're all in trench coats, and you all arrived in while we were all sitting in sort of the pre-con area having a few drinks and stuff. And it was just amazing to see you all come. And look, really being pioneers of the industry to make the trip out to Australia is massive commitment.
Yeah, so we became a Xero partner in 2011 in the UK. And by 2014, we actually put out our offering, which basically said to prospects and existing clients, you either have to be on Xero or willing to move to Xero, or we won't be working with you.
Wow, that's a really big, really big commitment to say to clients, this is what we expect of you.
I think it is, but I think as professionals, we're a little bit shy on understanding what we do. And I think it's a case of saying that Xero was wonderful, is wonderful. It will change the way you operate your business. It will change your life, change the outcomes. And it's actually just staying true to that dream, staying true to that belief. And whilst it was quite a little bit stepping off the precipice at that time, it's paid dividends because we have 98% of our clients on Xero.
Fantastic.
And as a result of being at Xerocon in Sydney in August 14, Xero awarded us Partner of the Year for South of England for 2015.
Wow.
And what I say to people, if we can do it, little old us in Bodmin in Cornwall, population of about 18,000, you've got to stay true to your dreams, stay true to your beliefs, and just see it through. Of course, we all make deviations, but actually come back to the norm, come back to what you actually want to achieve. And I think the thing for me is to remember it's your business, you make decisions, you decide who you work with, you decide what you work with. And I think, like all of us, we choose where we shop each week. Why shouldn't we actually make decisions on what type of things we want for our clients?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it sounds like, probably like me, you heard Rod Drury speak and you perhaps bought into the vision that he set from stage?
I think when we first became a Xero partner in 2011, we saw it as a sort of replacement for Sage. Mm-hmm. So basically it was just an accounting program, and obviously Xero is so much more. And I think in the early days we made a lot of mistakes. We didn't check the veracity of the data that we moved over to Xero, and actually we had a few problems. And I think we learned a few painful lessons, because back then there was no how-tos. You actually discovered it along the way. And can I suggest, Heather, that your book, Xero for Dummies, was instrumental in helping us educate the clients? Because in the early days we had questions about, what is the cloud? Is it safe? How do we use it? Isn't it just another accounting program? And as I said, it's so much more than an accounting program. And I think it changed our mindset to become more entrepreneurial for our clients. Absolutely. Because if you ask me what I did, I'm a businessman. It just so happens my business is accountancy. Mm. And what we're focused in is on outcomes, goals for clients, helping them achieve their dreams. And I think over the years, we've had some amazing stories of what people have done. So one of the first things, clients that we work with wanted to move from the UK to Cyprus, wanted to retire. And we actually helped them achieve that. And it's because we actually understood what they wanted to do, we were able to help them.
Absolutely. And I always went into accounting because I wanted to travel. And by actually getting our clients on Xero, they actually have the freedom and flexibility. But getting them onto cloud accounting gives them the freedom and flexibility to travel, if it is to Cyprus or wherever it is.
Yeah, it is really. And I think obviously we've come a long way since then. And I think accounting profession has come such a long way since then. But I think we're also seeing a return to the traditional values, the traditional relationships, the fact that we are dealing with people. And I'm a great believer in meeting people in person, because I think you pick up so much more, you actually understand so much more, you create lasting relationships and lasting bonds. And I think one of the facts that I'm most proud of is that I started in business on my own in 1994, so we're almost 30 years later. We started with 70 clients, here we are 30 years. I've still got half of who I started with.
Oh, that's such an amazing achievement. Congratulations on that. Can we just circle back a bit and can you describe your firm to us a bit?
So we've come out of a traditional firm. When I started my business in 1994, I thought there was a different way, there was a better way to do things. And actually it is. It's to be looking after your clients properly, not just seeing them as a meal ticket, as a way to earn income. It's actually caring for them. Because for me, one of my favourite quotes is the Maya Angelou quote that says, people don't remember what you did, people don't remember what you said, but people remember how you made them feel. And for me, it's all about the soft things. It's about feelings. It's about looking after them, making sure that you have their interest. So when you make a mistake, you actually own up to it. You actually put it right at no cost to the client, and actually be upfront about things. If you can't do it, you actually have to say you can't do it. Whereas I think when I was in my previous practice, we would never admit wrong because we were frightened of a lawsuit, a claim on our professional indemnity insurance. But clients are not fools. They read through that. And I think if you make a mistake and you own up to it and you put it right, you actually create better relationships as a result of it.
You do. You absolutely. They trust you. You are now in a really trusted position, and they have confidence moving forward with you. So completely agree with that. Can you talk to us a bit about your tech stack? It's a podcast of listeners who love technology. What are some of the things that you have in your tech stack? So
we've been on Receipt Bank or Dext Prepare since 2013. We actually won the first effortless bookkeeping challenge in the UK. We use that. We use Xero. We use Precision or Ignition as it's called now. We use Dext Prepare and Dext Precision in tandem. So we try and assess the veracity of the information. And we try and keep it simple. I think for clients, to actually have too many options in terms of tech, creates issues. I think, coming back to what I said earlier, is we know what's best for our clients, and therefore we need to educate them into why it's best for them and help them on that journey. So in the early days, we did regular Xero training every month. We do Xero training every month now, which is free for our clients, because at the end of the day, if I can get them to use Xero much better, it helps them, and it also helps them when it comes to preparing the accounts. We also do monthly Dext Prepare training again, because we're trying to educate them, trying to get them in the process, in the habit of actually using tech. And I think one of the stories that I would like to share is that back in 2019, we took on a client that was paying another accountant £200 a year. We then said, if you want us to work with you, we're going to be £200 a month. and actually you need to use Xero and Dext Prepare. And actually, I'm so convinced that it will change your life and change the way you operate your business, that if at the end of the year you haven't received value, we refund all of the fees. That client is one of my best advocates at the moment because he believes that using Xero and Dext Prepare has cut his admin time, his preparation time by a third. So instead of working 5 days a week, he works 4 days a week. He gets time to see his children, time to spend on things that are priorities to him. And I think, for me, that is quite a powerful message. And it's nice to see someone who actually acknowledges that and says thank you for it.
That is such a great story. And I really do like the message that you have, that you've committed to tell the clients how to do something. And this is how we're going to do it. These are the tools we're going to use. But in addition to that, you're actually providing them with training. And I know I see a lot of people debating about whether they should train their clients. I'm all for providing training to clients.
Well, there's a vested interest because, if I can train them, they don't ring my team every 2 minutes about how I do this, because in the early days of Xero, we became sort of Xero support. Back when we had Sage and all those other programs, the client would actually ring Sage for the queries, whereas in the early days it was ringing us. So it stops the little queries about how do I reconcile this, I've got this item on my bank rate I can't post, what do I need to do? And I think the other thing as well is it saves our time in preparing the accounts, because clients don't see accounts as a useful document. They just see it as complying with government regulations. And the other thing it helps us to do is to produce those accounts much quicker, because obviously accounting information accounts need to be current, up to date and accurate to enable us to make business decisions based on them.
Absolutely. Completely agree with that. Did you, with your client base, did you grow it or did you grow your clients?
A bit of both. So we actually quite choosy on who we take on. So we probably only take on 1 in 5 of people who knock on our door. And one of the reasons is I want to focus on people who I can actually help. So although we have an ideal client criteria, 10 factors that determines whether we will work with you, I also say direct to the prospect when he's in front of me, I'm assessing you like you're assessing me, and I use 2 main criteria whether I want to work with you. A, whether I like you, because life's too short to deal with people who are a pain in the arse. We all know the pain in the arse client that every time he rings up, you think, what's his problem today? And the other thing is whether I can add value to your business. Because if I can add value to your business, if I can help you achieve your goals, then you won't see my fees as a cost. You'll see my fees as an investment. Absolutely.
And I completely agree with that, the importance of seeing fees as an investment and seeing an accountant. Yeah.
The other thing that we do is we regularly sack clients. So basically, if it's not working out, we actually say, it's not working out, you're not the right fit for us, and what we'd like to do is refer you to someone else. And also on our website, what we do is we say, if you're not the right fit for us, please contact these other 2 local firms, and we actually have a hyperlink to those other firms' websites.
Fantastic.
And as a result of that, we actually get paid for introductions to other local firms. So part of my marketing budget that I spend is coming back to me because I get an introductory fee. Okay, it's not a great deal of money, but it's just the fact that someone pays me something and it contributes towards my costs.
Fantastic. It sounds like you're doing a lot of the things that we're constantly told at conferences and by thought leaders to be doing. You're leading the way in that way.
That's kind of you to say that, but I think it's almost a bit like my school report. I don't know what your school report was, but mine was could do better. And I think we could all do better. We could all change things. And I think the problem for all of us is that we have a busy day job. There's a lot of things we need to do that sometimes we don't stand back and think, actually, we need to change things, we need to improve them. Because that old saying about if you keep doing what you've always done, you keep getting what you've always got. If you don't like what you've got, you need to change it, because otherwise nothing changes. So we have a list of things that we want to do. We also have what I call a magic wand list. And what my magic wand list is, the team can put on the magic wand list clients they want to sack and have to give a reason. And therefore, when the opportunity presents itself, we actually say goodbye.
Your staff or your team must be very happy that you listen to them about that.
Well, the good thing for us is that a lot of my team are family members. So I would hope they would listen to me. And also we have an offshore team in Manila. So we've gone from 1 person sort of 5 years ago to 4 today. And that works really well because they do a lot of the data processing for us. And I think the problem that we've all got is recruiting team members. And I think as an older person celebrating my 40th year in accountancy, sometimes I think people don't understand that the best way to communicate with people is to pick up the phone and actually talk to them, rather than just send them a text or send them an email. We actually build better, more lasting relationships, more meaningful relationships, more fruitful relationships if you actually talk to your clients. And I think when we first started in 94, it was quite difficult to set up because the setup costs, the barriers to entry were quite high. Whereas actually today, if you have a laptop and internet access, you can almost work from anywhere, as we alluded to. And I think that's created a generation of accountants who think that they can do everything by emails, texts and Zoom. Whereas I come back to traditional values, the traditional services, whereby you actually build better relationships, more meaningful relationships. You can assess body language, you can actually understand things by meeting people in person. So a lot of my meetings with clients we talk about anything and everything. We talk about the kids, we talk about where they went on holiday, but actually people actually understand that because they want you to be interested in them.
It enables you to have a holistic view of where they are at and potentially ask them more probing questions that needed to be asked, but which wouldn't have come through on a text or an email.
And I think one of the greatest questions in the English language for me is why. Why are you doing that? Why do you need it? And I think you can only get under the bonnet of the person and understand what they achieve is actually by asking those direct questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned that you've just celebrated, was it 40 years, and Paul, you don't look that you could possibly have celebrated 40 years because you look very young, that English skin and that English sun. But you told me you have a big goal lined up.
Yeah, so my big goal is because it's a family business. My son will take over the business one day when he's ready. I want to celebrate 50 years in accountancy before I retire because I want to be with him, to support him, to mentor him, to coach him, not necessarily to tell him what to do, but to be there to help him if he asks my opinion, if he asks my advice. Because I think, like we all made mistakes, and my God, I've made shed loads. The only good thing about mistakes is you don't make the second one, you don't make it the second time. So I think I want to be there to help him, and he will make mistakes, and I want to be there to help him learn from those mistakes.
I listened to a podcast today, and it said true leaders plan succession and they transition succession. So it sounds like exactly what you're planning to do.
It is exactly what I'm planning to do, but as I say, sometimes the day job gets in the way. We'll have the best of intentions. You know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but actually we need to turn it into actions. And I think coming away here has crystallised some of my thoughts, crystallised some of the things I need to do, and basically I just need to get on with it.
Absolutely. So we are at the Accountants Boot Camp, which is a sort of a legendary Accountants Boot Camp run by Paul Dunn and Ainsley Damery from Clarity. And it's day one of a 3-day conference. Is there anything that has happened in the last 24 hours that you'd like to share with listeners that has been quite impactful for you?
I think that the first point that Paul raised this morning is that we as accountants do change lives, we do enrich lives, we do enhance lives, and we need to remember that, and we need that to be at the forefront of our mind, because we all have bad days, and at the bad days we need to remember why we're in business, what we're actually looking to achieve, and how we can help people. Yeah,
absolutely. That's sort of a mantra of mine. Accountants save livelihoods, and it can be so impactful. So thank you so much, Paul, for joining me on the Cloud Stories podcast. I'm ecstatic. I can't believe that you're actually here. I didn't even know you were coming, so I didn't even plan to interview you. And I'm so grateful that you've been able to join me. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, so what I'd like to share with our listeners is Heather is such an amazing person, and let me tell you a story. When we came to Xerocon in 2014, as sort of windswept, cloaked in coats coming from the English winter, Heather met us at an event, the Receipt Bank event as it was, pre-con drinks for Xerocon, and Heather said to me kindly, who would you like to meet? Who do you want to speak to? What are you looking to achieve? And let me introduce you. So thank you, Heather. I owe you a big thank you.
Oh, it was my absolute pleasure, and always excited to have people come over here. And likewise, when I go and visit, and I did actually go to Xerocon. I was hoping to see you, but you had family holidays, and that was a good commitment for you to have.
Thank you very much, Heather.
Yes. And how can our listeners get in contact with you, Paul?
So, if anybody would like to contact me, they can always email me at paul@cornishaccounting.com. I'm happy to speak to anybody. I'm happy to help anybody, because I'm a great believer in a rising tide raises all ships. If we can all help the business community, we all benefit. Maybe not directly, but indirectly we all benefit.
Thank you so much for being on the Cloud Stories podcast. It's been wonderful to have you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
I hope you enjoyed listening to that interview with Paul Miller, Managing Director of Cornish Accounting Solutions. The next 2 interviews from the Accountants Bootcamp shall be Graham Tennick, who just won Small Firm of the Year at the Xero UK and Ireland Awards, and the legend that is Paul Dunn. Also, you can go back and listen to the interview that I did with Ainsley Damery back in May 21. The episode was called How to Double Your Clients' Profits in 5 Easy Steps. So you've been listening to the Cloud Stories podcast. If you like this episode, please subscribe and share it with a friend who'd benefit from listening. Also, join the Xero Mastermind community on Facebook and stay up to date with the latest trends and developments in the accounting app space. Be sure to subscribe to the informative Accounting Apps newsletter at heathersmithau.com. Also, I invite you to connect with me on LinkedIn. This is Heather Smith signing off until next time.